It's officially 1 o'clock and it's time for the news. Welcome to NMH at 1, the show that highlights the news making headlines in the land of the brave and beyond, ranging from current affairs, community stories, sports and economic news. In the news today, Braai plates not enough to tackle $15 million Namibian ELCRN debt. Desperate women turn to sex work at Oshakati. Frustrated residents invade Farm 37. I am Diana Master. We'll be right back with the midday news update. President Hage Geingob will host Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen and Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte today, who was on a joint working visit to Namibia. The presidency said in a statement this morning that the joint working visit will present the three countries with a great opportunity to strengthen dialogue on global challenges and opportunities, as well as widen and deepen coordinated and genuine partnerships between the countries and their people. Remember to engage with these stories on our social media throughout the broadcast. Visual news coming up after the break.
Take a load off and tune into another episode of Brave Namibia as we take a look at both ordinary and extraordinary Namibians. Brave Namibia is broadcasted on NTV Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. and oneup2.com, as well as broadcasted on the following Facebook platforms on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Republican, Allgemeine Zeitung, Namibian Sun, and all Namibia Media Holdings pages. For more information, contact the Brave team at brave@synergy.com.na. Brave Namibia, for the ordinary and extraordinary Namibians.
Now getting into today's visual news clips, SWAPO Secretary for Information Hilma Nikano says while the party is disappointed with the outcome of a same-sex marriage Supreme Court judgment, it will respect the judiciary. The party has also tasked the government to enact laws and definitions regarding marriages to avoid further confusion. Let's take a look.
The Central Committee, notwithstanding its concern and disappointment over the judgment, reiterates and reaffirms the SWAPO Party's commitment to constitutional provisions under Article 78 sub 3, that is, non-interference with the judiciary and the protection of the dignity and effectiveness of courts. The Central Committee, having carefully considered and reflected on the matter, therefore resolved to direct government to immediately take executive and legislative steps aimed at introducing a Namibian law compliant definition of the word spouse into the Immigration Control Act, which definition will inevitably modify, not repeal, the common law principle applied by the Supreme Court only for purposes of Section 2, Sub 1C of the Immigration Control Act, of the Act, my apologies. Finally, while the SWAPO Party government takes above directed statutory remedial steps, the SWAPO Party hereby strongly condemns and repudiates all kinds of immoral and indecent acts and other associated acts that are either inconsistent with the Namibian laws or against public policy.
Health Minister Dr. Kalumbi Shangula this morning officially announced the end of the Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever outbreak, which claimed the life of one person last month. He announced the launch of the National Integrated Disease Surveillance Response Technical Guideline in Windhoek this morning. Let's have a look.
mobilization of development cooperative partners and stakeholders to support the response and preparedness for possible future crime in Congo hemorrhagic fever outbreaks. This included assistance in areas such as laboratory systems, infection prevention and control, risk communication and community engagement, vector control, surveillance, psychosocial support, pharmaceutical supply, and general logistics. The 15th of June 2023 marked the 38th day following the demise of the confirmed case. The date is considered the last day of possible day of exposure. There has been no additional cases of Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever detected in the country. In the consequence, I hereby declare the end of Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever outbreak in Namibia.
Now, the ruling party is seeking to eliminate ambiguities in the Immigration Act to ensure that same-sex marriages solemnized abroad are not recognized in Namibia. An update on this story follows in the newspaper review segment after the break.
To another exciting episode of Irongo Top.
Is die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik kan byt.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with entertainment. Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. We now take a look at what the lead stories are in Namibia's daily newspapers. The Namibian Sun's front page reports that between the recent Supreme Court ruling regarding same-sex marriages solemnized outside Namibia and realizing its full implementation stands the word spouse, which SWAPO has decided must be bestowed a heterosexual meaning to do away with current ambiguities. The party says there would be no legal barriers for Parliament to enact such a legal principle so that going forward, the validity of a marriage can no longer be determined by a foreign country's legal requirements, but should instead align with Namibia's marriage laws and definition of spouses. On the paper's page 3, the Electricity Control Board says it will oppose any power cuts NamPower plans to roll out in future, saying such actions have negative economic outcomes. This comes on the heels of a directive by Cabinet to stop NamPower from rolling out power cuts to creditors. NamPower is currently owed over $1 billion Namibian and has since 5th of June cut off power periodically to various local authorities and the Northern Regional Electricity Distributor in an attempt to address debts. Moving over, Republican informs that a lack of money is crippling the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Namibia, with employees reportedly not having been paid for months. Employees say the church's debt currently stands at $15 million Namibian plus outstanding salaries. Even vulnerable dependents such as the widows of former pastors allegedly haven't received their allowances for up to 2 years. On page 3, the South African couple who was arrested on Tuesday after allegedly taking cell phone photos of an information board at the military base in Grootfontein is fined a total of 13,000 Namibian dollars each, or otherwise the option to serve 3 years in jail. Moving right along, on its front page, the Algemene Zeitung reports that according to Namibian police, a 24-year-old man and a 27-year-old man were arrested last Wednesday for illegally hunting wildlife near Otavi. It is alleged that the foreman of the Lichtenburg farm received information that two individuals were transporting bags from the farm through the fence and hiding them next to the road. On page 3 of the Algemene Zeitung, there's a report that motorists in Windhoek will be required to pay for parking spaces along certain roads as of tomorrow. According to the City of Windhoek, Key Plots Investments will start managing designated on-street parking spaces with rates ranging from $3 Namibian to $8 Namibian an hour. These rates will apply in these areas from Mondays to Fridays between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. and Saturdays from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. The on-street parking areas encompass Robert Mugabe Avenue, Julius Nyerere Street, Mandumenda Mufayo Avenue, and Prof. Mburumba Karina Street. Stick around, we continue with the second half of our newspaper review segment after this short break.
Take a load off and tune into another episode of Brave Namibia, when we take a look at both ordinary and extraordinary Namibians sharing their stories. Brave Namibia is broadcasted on NTV Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. and oneup2.com, and broadcasted on the following Facebook platforms on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Republican, Algemene Zeitung, Namibian Sun, and all Namibia Media Holdings pages. For more information, contact the Brave team at brave@synergy.com.na. Brave Namibia, for the ordinary and extraordinary Namibians.
Getting into the second half of our newspaper review segment, the Namibian newspaper reports that at most of Oshakati's informal settlements, sex workers are not visible on the streets. The town's Okanjengedi Bridge, however, is a hotspot where sex workers meet clients. According to the local police, the sex workers in the town mostly operate at night. The Oshana police last week embarked on a debuting exercise of the area around the Okanjengedi Bridge, where incidents of rape, gender-based violence, common assault, sex work, and other crimes regularly take place. Onto the paper's page 3, two men accused of murdering a farm couple in the Gobabis district in early 2018 have made a first appearance in the Windhoek High Court, where they are due to stand trial on 2 counts of murder and 7 other criminal charges. The first pre-trial hearing of farm workers Bernardes Afrikaner and Salathiwal Unayeb before Judge Christy Liebenberg on Thursday ended with the postponement of their case to the 20th of July. On New Era's front page, running of the Electoral Commission of Namibia is not for the weak, the institution's outgoing boss Theo Majoro says. Majoro confirmed that he is vacating the position, which has seen him loathed and loved to an almost equal degree, claiming he is bowing out with his head held high. He said he is extremely proud of his accomplishments during his time at the ECN and believes it is time for a new person with a fresh perspective to take the organization to the next level. On the paper's page 3, the quest for land reached a climax on Friday when residents identifying themselves as the Backyard Tenants Association was stopped by the Namibian police after invading Farm 37 in Walvis Bay. Farm 37 was identified in 2016 by the former council and the late Irongo governor Cleophas Mushavikwa as a solution to the housing shortage the town is facing. Situated about 7 kilometers east of Walvis Bay, Farm 37 has the potential to yield at least 30,000 urban. Now, MarketWatch reports that South Africa extended a ban on scrap metal exports by 6 months as the government tries to combat theft and vandalism of public infrastructure. Trade and Industry Minister Ibrahim Patel also ordered the International Trade and Administration Commission of South Africa not to accept or process any applications for export permits for ferrous and non-ferrous waste and scrap metal, according to a notice published in the Government Gazette. The theft and export of copper cables have had a severe impact on the economy and have been a major contributor to power cuts and disruptions on rail lines. The ban was first proposed in August to combat illicit trade in these materials and was approved by Cabinet in November. Now, the Bank of Namibia attracted over 3.2 billion Namibian dollars on its treasury bills auction. More on this story in economic news when we return.
Newsprint Namibia is a web offset printing operation that specializes in the printing of newspapers and commercial inserts. We are the leaders in our industry with the highest quality print work and the shortest turnaround time from computer to print and delivery anywhere in the country daily. Newsprint was established mainly as a newspaper print company, but had to diversify its business to do commercial printing as required in the market. We print commercial inserts previously printed in South Africa in the shortest possible time. We, as an organization, also started printing workbooks for our education system and will also print textbooks for the Namibian market. For more information, please contact print@newsprint.com.
In our economic news this afternoon, last week was a good week for the government as the Bank of Namibia attracted over 3.2 billion Namibian dollars on its treasury bills auction, still indicating that there remains a dire need for quality assets for investors to pour money into the country. This is despite the offer being only for 1.25 billion Namibian dollars. The 91-day, 182-day, 273-day and 364-day treasury bills were all oversubscribed, with the 364-day bills attracting over 1.2 billion Namibian dollars. The trend from the recent treasury bill auctions is that longer dated treasury bills such as the 273-day and the 364-day bills are attracting much capital, and last week saw the central bank being enticed by many offers worth 2.1 billion Namibian dollars. According to the auction results, the varying treasury bills were all seeking to rake in 300 million Namibian dollars, apart from the 273-day bills, which were offering an allocated 350 million Namibian dollars. Now let's take a look at the economic indicators. One British pound now trades for 23 Namibian dollars and 29 cents. Meanwhile, 2 Namibian dollars and 54 cents buys you 1 Chinese yuan. Looking at the NSX stock closing prices, MTC, Anirab, Capricorn Investment Group Limited all remain the same at 7.08 points, 8.99 points and 14 points respectively. Still with the NSX stock closing prices, overall index closed on an upturn of 0.25%. Meanwhile, local index closed on a downturn of 0.01%. Looking at commodities, the only commodity down is gold. Meanwhile, copper, platinum and Brent crude oil are all on an upturn. Now, Kenya signs a trade deal with the European Union to safeguard exports. We'll get into this as we dive into African news after this short break.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
We now extend to the rest of the continent, and later we'll bring you international news from the rest of the globe. Starting us off, Kenya on Monday signed an economic partnership agreement with the European Union that will guarantee duty-free access for its farm produces into its biggest export market. European goods entering Kenya will see tariffs reduced over 25 years under the agreement, officials said at a signing ceremony in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. The deal took 7 months to negotiate, making it one of the fastest the EU has ever struck, officials from both sides said. Kenya, Africa's 7th largest economy, is a major exporter of tea, coffee, flowers, fruits and vegetables. The EU accounts for 21% of its overall exports. Kenya's President William Ruto said that beyond trade, the agreements are designed to stimulate investments and manufacturing. Kenya signed an initial trade deal with the EU in 2016 alongside its partners in the six-nation East African Community Trade Bloc, but it was not signed by most of the EAC countries and therefore did not fully come into effect. Stick around, we'll be right back with international news. Israeli forces have raided the Jenin refugee camp, killing 3 Palestinians and wounding at least 37. The raid began earlier today with Israeli soldiers storming the camp, firing live ammunition, stun grenades and toxic gas, according to the Wafa news agency. One of the Palestinians killed is a child. The Israeli military said the raid was to arrest 2 suspects and that Israeli soldiers came under fire, which resulted in a massive exchange of fire. One of the suspects they were after was the son of an imprisoned Hamas leader. As the Israeli military vehicles were exiting the camp, the army's statement said that a military vehicle was hit by an explosive device, damaging the vehicle, after which military helicopters shot towards the gunmen to help the forces exit. Stick around, we'll be right back with our local sports news.
To another exciting episode of Irongo Talk.
Is die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik kan byt.
Take a load off and tune into another episode of Brave Namibia, when we take a look at both ordinary and extraordinary Namibians sharing their stories. Brave Namibia is broadcasted on NTV Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. and oneup2.com, and broadcasted on the following Facebook platforms on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Republican, Allgemeine Zeitung, Namibian Sun, and all Namibia Media Holdings pages. For more information, contact the Brave team at brave@synergy.com.na. Brave Namibia, for the ordinary and extraordinary Namibians.
Starting off our local sports news this afternoon, former champions and 2022 beaten finalists FNB UNAM displaced their institutionalized big match temperament in responding to huge early pressure from hosts FNB Grootfontein on Saturday. The UNAM Steenbokkies showed no sign of slowing down in the Namibia Rugby Union Women's 15s League as they put the inexperienced Grootfontein Bokkies to the sword in a 117-0 thrashing on Saturday. The Dion Harter Charity Cup will see 16 soccer and 10 netball teams compete in 2 sports codes, namely soccer and netball, at the Mondesa Stadium in Swakopmund from the 23rd to the 25th of June. We'll be right back with our international sports news right after this break.
To another exciting episode of Irongo Talk.
Is die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik kan byt.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
And now for your international sports news. Dani Carvajal chipped home a Panenka penalty to win Spain the Nations League on Sunday with a 5-4 shootout victory over Croatia after a tense match finished 0-0 following extra time. The Airlink Pumas sent out a loud warning to the Toyota Cheetahs that they won't give up their Carling Currie Cup title without a heck of a fight, as their unconquerable spirit saw them triumph 26-20 over the South Sea Sharks in a hard-fought semi-final at Hollywood's Bet's Kings Park on Saturday. In some F1 news, world champion Max Verstappen drew alongside Ayrton Senna in the Formula One record books with his 41st victory on Sunday when he drove his Red Bull to a flawless triumph at the Canadian Grand Prix. If you're just joining us, this is NMH at 1 and we will get into the highlights from today's broadcast right after this short break.
Ek is Coretti Du Plessis.
My name is Justice Shehama. I am Namibian.
Hallo, ek is Damien Stevens.
En ek is 'n Namibianer in Nederland.
Bly tans in New Orleans in Amerika.
In Heidelberg in beautiful Toronto, Canada.
Currently part of... So I'm currently based in South Carolina in the US.
Newsprint Namibia is a web offset printing operation that specializes in the printing of newspapers and commercial inserts. We are the leaders in our industry with the highest quality print work and the shortest turnaround time from computer to print and delivery anywhere in the country daily. Newsprint was established mainly as a newspaper print company, but had to diversify its business to do commercial printing as required in the market. We print commercial inserts previously printed in South Africa in the shortest possible time. We, as an organization, also started printing workbooks for our education system and will also print textbooks for the Namibian market. For more information, please contact print@newsprint.com.
You're still with NMH at 1, and if you're just joining us, here are the news highlights. Kenya on Monday signed an economic partnership agreement with the European Union that will guarantee duty-free access for its farm produces into its biggest export market. In international news, Israeli forces have raided the Jenin refugee camp, killing 3 Palestinians and wounding at least 37. The raid began earlier today with Israeli soldiers storming the camp, firing live ammunition, stun grenades and toxic gas. And in sport, the Dion Hotter Charity Cup will see 16 soccer and 10 netball teams compete in 2 sports codes, namely soccer and netball, at the Mondesa Stadium in Swakopmund from the 23rd to the 25th of June. Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on the latest news in Namibia, Africa and the world, ranging from current affairs, economic news, sports and international headlines. It's goodbye from us in studio and we wish you a lovely Monday ahead.